Hello and welcome back. In this short lesson, we are going to look at template underscore folder attribute in Flask. So I'm going to go ahead and open the folder that we are going to work in, which is L9, and let's create our file, which is app.py, and that's this file. In this file, we are going to first import from Flask, import Flask with a capital F, and then we are going to import something called as render underscore template. Then we initialize the Flask app as we always do. App is equal to Flask, and then in here we have name underscore underscore, which is good. Nothing new so far, and I'll introduce that in just a moment. Before we move forward, let's create the route app.route, and this is the base URL with a forward slash. Below that, we write a function home, and in this function, we are going to return a render underscore template. And here what we are going to render is the home.html file. We haven't created that yet, but we'll do that in just a moment. And then because this file will be run directly from the terminal, we need to put if name is equal to main, and that is what this line is about. And here we say app.run debug is equal to true. So what happens now is when we say render template, what Flask is going to look for is a folder called template, as we created here, and inside of this folder it is going to look for a file home.html. And so in this file we could write some HTML code. So let's start out with doc type, and this is HTML, so this tells that is the HTML. And then we have the head, start of the head, then end of the head right below that with a forward slash. And before we do the head, we need to type the HTML. So HTML, and that's the end of the HTML. I'm going to cut and put that right below this. Then we have the head part, which put it like one tab to the right, and inside of this we can put the title. So title, again it automatically closes with the forward slash title. This, let's say this is a welcome page, and then we have the body of this HTML. So let's call this body, and in the body we have one header called h1 heading 1, and this say hello from Flask template. Right, so that's our simple HTML. Now what happens is when we run this app.py file from the command line here, if I type python app.py, all right, so something did not work. Let's see why. We did import this, and let's see what files are there. So we have template app.py, and if name is equal to main, app.run debug is equal to true. What am I missing? Everything looks okay. Let's try to clear this and try and run this again. Python app.py. Okay, now this is working. Alright, so if it does not work, I suggest closing out sometimes VS Code, or closing out the browser, clearing the cache also helps. This time just rerunning it worked. This is the URL, I already have it here. Just press that, and here we see we get an error, and the error is telling us what is it telling? Template not found. And the reason is because this template has to be template with an S. So let's go ahead and rename this to templates, and now when we try and run this again or refresh this, awesome, we get this to work. So sometimes it's good to see these errors while we are trying to learn the code, so that if we encounter them again somewhere later on, we know exactly what the reason could be. So template not found, just simple typo I did without the letter S. Now here is where the method that we looked at, template, not the method but the attribute template underscore folder, comes into play. What we can do is type template underscore folder here, and this is where our original templates default value is located. So if we say this, and if I sort of close that, clear it, and again try python app.run, it says, sorry, python app.py, we see that it will run and we get this website running, hello from Flask template. And this is the default value, templates is the default. What we can do is we can change this to something else. Let's say we change this to something like put files here, right? So that, let's say we do that, and then what I'm going to do is come back here in our project folder and create the put files here folder, and in that folder I'm going to create the home .html file, and in this file we are simply going to copy and put the same code in this file, except here we'll say from, and this is coming from put files here folder and not the templates folder, right? So let's see what happens if we do this, and if we run this now, so that would still, not sure why that is still running. Let's close that, clear this, python app.py, and now when we run this, we still see that this is working. We have the template folder, render template, so this should come into play. All right, let's try. Okay, so I think this was not saved, and that's why we are getting the same output. So here is what is happening now. What we did was we created another folder. Instead of the standard templates folder, we created a custom folder named put files here, and we put our HTML file in that folder. If we do that, for Flask to be able to access and read that home.html, we need to pass the folder name as an input value to this attribute template underscore folder. If you do that, then render template can go in and read that home.html. But if we do not do that, the default value, for example, the default would be something like this. Let's keep that there, comment this out, and so default is going to be just this, as something what we have been seeing so far, just underscore underscore name. And when we run, if we save this file, then it is reading from the HTML file that's in the templates folder. So as a good practice, unless and until, I think you have to, it may be a better option to put all the HTML files in the templates folder when working with Flask. So that was all for this video. Hope to see you all in the next video. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.